Don't fuck with them hoes.
Hey horror fans, once again it is me, the Horror Miser Money G. It's time to do another horror movie review because I finally saw the most anticipated horror films that came out in 2019. Yes, it's time to review the psychological horror film Saint Maud. Yes, finally. Now, Saint Maud is a 2019 British psychological horror film that was written and directed by Rose Glass in her directorial debut. The film stars I believe her name is pronounced Mordred Clark. I probably screwed that up. And Jennifer Eel. Now, in this film, the story follows a pious nurse who becomes dangerously obsessed with saving the soul of her dying patient. Yes, it's that simple. Now, when it comes to psychological horror films involving religions, we've seen several in the past year. That would be Hereditary, The House That Jack Built, and Midsommar, or a few that are considered excellent horror films in that subgenre for horror. However, during the Toronto Film Festival in 2019, somewhere late around I think it was October, September, I might be wrong, the latest subgenre in this film, the latest film in this subgenre started to generate a lot of good buzz, and some consider it the scariest horror movie of all time. Oh boy, here we go again. So first-time British director Rose Glass, who also wrote the screenplay, brings us this latest entry in the subgenre simply called Saint Maud. Now, as I stated earlier, the story is a simple setup. After a traumatic event, a hospice nurse who calls herself Maud, formerly known as Katie, is assigned to care for a former American dancer and choreographer named Amanda, who is terminally ill with stage 4 lymphoma. The now devout Catholic Maud believes God has sent her on a mission to save Amanda's soul, since she has confessed to Maud that she fears death, and she doesn't believe that there's a heaven or hell. So she's fearful of her impending death, and Maud believes that this is what God wants me to do. He wants me to save Amanda's soul, and that's basically what the film is about. Now, one of the things I like what Rose does with this film is how it looks. Now, this takes place in an unnamed English seaside town, and Maud's apartment looks dark, murky, and joyless. It's kind of a reflection of Maud's current life. There's no life. There's nothing in there. It just reflects her mental state as what she's in right now. Yeah, she has a very deep religious belief in God. But as you can see, whatever happened to her also not only reflected in her current mental state, but also reflected how she lives. We see that after her conversion that she's leading a very lonely life. She has no friends, and she has a hard time interacting with people. We see that during the second act of the film. She actually has a run-in with a former colleague of hers, and we see that her name was known as Katie. And obviously, whatever type of lifestyle she had or what happened to her, we see that has deeply affected her, and which is now her current state. It seems the only joy Maud seems to be having is either trying to save Amanda or her deep and convincing relationship with God. It seems the only thing in her life right now is just pleasing what she believes God wants her to do. Now, West actress Mordred Clark is amazing as Maud Kate. She gives the character weird looks, the strength of her relationship with God, and at times the confusion of whether or not she's doing everything she believes what God wants her to do. We see that during the third act of the film with some crazy and disturbing imagery. I mean, it really goes out there when we get to that third act in the film. Now, I'm watching this film, and after seeing my good friend Emma from Spooky Astronaut review this movie, I agree that there are some similarities between Maud and Bill Paxton's character from the 2001 film Frailty. Both characters believe what they're doing is right because this is what God told them to do. Because we remember in Bill Paxton's character in Frailty, he believed this is what God is telling him to do. He thinks he's got messages from God. This person's bad, that person's bad. You have to kill them. Now, unlike with Frailty, Glass is showing Maud's relationship with God and how it's affecting her mental state. Everything evolves around what she believes what God is telling her to do. Now, it kind of makes me think if Maud had gotten the help that she needed after the film reveals what happened to Katie, there might not have been a Maud. If she had taken the proper steps to get the type of help to deal with the trauma that took place in the beginning of the film, perhaps she would have been adjusted more. But, what are you going to do? The film is well placed, and I love the music that is being played, which kind of amplifies my relationship with God. There's some striking imagery that takes place, and you combine that with the music, it really amplifies. I like how Glass does that. It really shows Maud's mental state, and everything evolves around her relationship with God. Now, this isn't the scariest horror movie I've seen. I know some people will not like this because this isn't your typical horror movie. There's no slasher, there's no monsters. There's some great imagery, there's some great disturbing imagery, and some great acting on the part between the two leads in the film. I did like Jennifer Hill's performance as Amanda. She's kind of like the counterbalance of Maud's character. So I really like those two and how they play across each other in the movie. And Rose Glass deserves a lot of credit for as a first-time director, providing us with these complex characterizations about a person's up and close relationship with God, with some wild and crazy results from it. I really did enjoy this movie, and I think maybe most will enjoy it, maybe some will not. So I'm going to give Saint Maud 3 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Giving it 3 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Like I said, I love the imagery of the film. I love the music that goes with the imagery. Obviously, the third act was a bit mind-blowing, if you want to say the least. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Like I said before, I believe some people will love this. Most horror fans will love it. Some won't because, it's a, put it this way, kind of like with Hereditary, you're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. So there you go. That is my review and video for Saint Maud. If you did like this video, please like and share it because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. If you have seen Saint Maud, tell me what you thought about it. Did you enjoy the film or did you thought it was kind of boring? Because I know some people will say that. Please leave your comments in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about Saint Maud. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put up new videos such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.